Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country Homestead. God is good all the time. Well, this is part 5 of my Crochet 101 series. So if you haven't seen the first 4 parts and you're just now getting started into crocheting and trying to learn, that's where I cover the really basic stuff. So check the link right up here and you'll find the playlist for the rest of these videos. And from moving on from this point, I'm still going to be working on showing you how to read from patterns, but I'm also going to be teaching you how to do special stitches, how to do some amigurumi, and I think I'm going to cover that in the next video. Today we're going to go over the cross stitch and the post stitch. And before we do that, I want to show you something I failed to show you in previous videos on reading patterns. And when you get to the end of each round, when you're reading a pattern, it's going to tell you how many stitches you should have or how many groups. Like this says 7 double crochet groups and 38 spaces. So if you need to go back and count all your stitches to make sure that you're doing the right amount, because this is going to be really important, especially when you get into amigurumi or making sweaters, that you stick with the right number of stitches. And eventually you'll learn how to just count and how to keep up and how to even alter like sweater patterns so that they fit you better, or alter it in such a way that maybe you want to do it with a bigger hook and not such a small hook, so you're going to alter the pattern to make it, you know, fit that size hook. So it'll come to you. It'll just start to flow the more you do it. So starting off with the cross stitch, both the cross stitch and the post stitches, you're going to need to have even rows or even numbers. You can't have an odd number. It's going to end up weird. So when you're starting this particular cross stitch, like in a row going back and forth like this, you're going to have your first stitch is going to be your 3 chains. Then what you're going to do is you're going to skip this first stitch and go to the next one, and you're going to double crochet in that. A cross stitch has to be done with a double crochet or higher. Double crochet is ideal. You can do it with a half double crochet. It's not going to look quite as cool. Then you're going to start your next double crochet is going to go, you're going to cross over the one you just did and go back into the stitch that you missed. And there's your first cross stitch. Hold that up there so you can see it better. Now I'm going to do the next one. I'm going to skip this single crochet here and go to the next single crochet or double crochet or half double crochet, whatever you're working into. Work my double crochet as shown in previous video, and then yarn over, go into the stitch that you skipped, and it's that easy. Okay, and so in that one blanket I showed you the kind of like waves. I think I put it on the thumbnail of the last crochet video, part 4. That has cross stitches in it. That's when I first started learning how to do cross stitches. I'm like, well, that was easy. The cross stitch is one that will look real nice when you're using a variegated yarn, and maybe you don't like the way the yarn is, like you're working in double crochets and you don't like the way it's maybe coming out in blocks. You know how some of you will understand what I'm talking about. The cross stitch is a good way to help break that up. Now this one ended up coming out more like in stripes on this hat, but the cross stitch is the one I've been using on these bun hats a lot, and typically using the variegated in the middle. However, even on a solid color, it looks real nice. Now I don't have anything on hand. I did just do a hat in solid color, still using the cross stitch, because it still adds more interest. It gives it more texture. Here's another thing. I made this years and years ago. It's a Bible cover, and you can see here. Hold that up close. You can see I used the cross stitch in this particular one, which I think just gave it a much nicer look all the way around. All right, so the next stitch I want to show you is the post stitch. Now you have a front post stitch and you have a back post stitch. Those are typically abbreviated by FPS or BPS, so front post stitch, back post stitch. And what that means, and this is another one that's typically going to work off of only a double crochet. All right, I had to crochet some real quick, double crochet row, because you have to do the post stitch working around double crochets to make this come out right. So I'm going to do the first stitch is just going to be just like that. There's no, it's just a chain. Now this is a front post. I go through the front, I go from the front side of the stitch below. Let me get this up close. I'm going to insert my hook under and around, coming around the back from the back side. I come in from the front and then come around the back and back through the front. And then I'm going to work that double crochet just like I normally would. Now the next stitch, I'm just going to work into the regular top of the stitch like you normally would for a double crochet. Now I'm going to do that again. Coming in from the front on the next stitch over, which is this one, going around that post, and then working my double crochet. Then the next stitch, just a regular, working it into the top of the stitch. Now, now you'll see, I don't know if that's showing up really well in this color, but I'll show you how this looks in a couple different colors, so it might stand out better. Now when I go to work back, if I want to do another round like that, instead of doing a front post stitch, I'm going to do a back post stitch. So now I'm going to come from the back side, insert it around the front, and then work it. Okay, then the next stitch will go just a regular top of the double crochet. Now again, I'm hoping I'm getting this in here. Around from the back, around that post, and then finish out that double crochet. So that's the back post stitch. So then what I'll end up with was, this is a way you can get that rib knit look, even though this is not knitting, this is crocheting. So that's kind of a poor example there. So let me show you that here on this little dog sweater. You see that? Again, it gives it more interest. It gives it a rib knit. This is the bottom of the sweater, the part that goes around the body. Here's another dog sweater. See that? This is a little bit more of a solid color, so it might show up better. That are your post stitches. So the first round I did was a front post, the second round I did was a back post, but it looks the same. So you end up with this nice little rib knit look. So there's a couple of new stitches for you to work with. And so when you come across that and you see that in patterns, you're going to go, oh, cool, that's how they did that. You don't have to learn how, you know, I've talked about this in another video. I do someday want to learn how to knit just to know how to do it. But anything that can be done knitted can be mimicked crocheted. I've had people bring to me things that are, okay, well, somebody knit me this hat and I want another one similar to it. Can you do this? And I look at it and go, yep, I can. And I figure out how to do it, but it's done with crochet. So if you don't know the difference, crochet is done with one hook, where knitting is done with 2 needles. So anyway, that's the difference. All right, so I hope that helps. Next video, I'll be covering how to do a magic circle if you're wanting to get into amigurumi, which is making the little stuffed animals and little people and any kind of figurines. And it's a Japanese art of crochet. And you have to know how to do the magic circle before you can move on to do a nice amigurumi. All right, so front post stitch, back post stitch, and cross stitch. Those are your special stitches for this lesson. I hope I'm helping you to learn something new. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.